Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you all are doing well and are healthy and safe. Today I'm going to be going over the 2018 Released STAAR Test. Alrighty. So here we have question number 1. They're telling us that a recipe, a recipe says to use 3 cups of flour to make 48 cups of cookies. 48 cookies, I'm sorry. What is the constant of proportionality that relates the number of cookies, which is represented by Y, to the number of cups of flour, which is represented by X? All right, ladies and gentlemen, the keywords here are constant of proportionality. Look at your guys' reference sheet. If y'all look at your reference sheet, you guys are going to see the formula for the constant of proportionality, which kind of gears you towards 8th grade to slope, which you guys are going to work with more in detail, or even more. So on your reference sheet, this is what you all are given. The constant of proportionality, which is denoted by K, is equal to Y divided by X. Here, ladies and gentlemen, they told you what Y was. Y is the number of cookies, which is 48. Now how it relates to the cups of flour, which is denoted by X, which is 3 cups. So you put that there, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can divide. 48 divided by 3 is equal to 16, which means, ladies and gentlemen, the constant of proportionality here is 16, which if you guys were to rewrite this into the format Y equals KX, this formula and this formula, ladies and gentlemen, are very, very similar. Well, they're the same thing, just represented a bit differently. But the way you guys would express this is the number of cookies is equal to 16 times the number of cups. So if you have 1 cup of flour, which is X, you would make 16 cookies. If you have 2 cups, 32 cookies. If you have 3 cups, 48 cookies. And that's how y'all read that, okay? All right, so moving on. All right, so next, ladies and gentlemen, they're telling us that an observatory is shaped like a cylinder standing on one of its bases with a dome top. The diameter of the floor of the observatory is 64 feet, which is shown right there. Which measurement is closest to the circumference of the base of the observatory in feet? All right, so ladies and gents, here the keyword here is circumference. Once y'all see that, look at your reference sheets, ladies and gents. Y'all are given 2 possible formulas. The first one is circumference equals 2 times pi times radius, And the second one is circumference is equal to pi times diameter. However, just depending on the information they're giving you guys in the question, one formula might be better than the other. Oh, they're both the same. I wish I could tell you guys just to use the second one because it's easier, but to each their own. Math is challenging. So here, ladies and gents, we know that the diameter is 64. So they've given us diameter. My suggestion is for y'all to use that formula there. Although you could divide it by 2 and use the other one, but anyways. So let me set this up for us. All right, so what I did here, ladies and gents, I went ahead and just plugged in the values into the formulas here, and I determined that the circumference of that circle is 200.96. But ladies and gents, in this situation, you guys can break apart the formula and fill in the values that they've given you, because sometimes they might give you guys the circumference, and they're going to ask you to solve for the diameter. And I think it makes it a little easier when you guys just break it apart and you guys just have to substitute the values. And once you guys get more practice, you guys won't have to do that and you guys can avoid that. All right, on question number 3, ladies and gentlemen, they are telling us that a classroom is arranged with 8 seats in the front row, 10 seats in the middle row, and 12 seats in the back row. The teacher randomly assigns seats to students as they enter the classroom. What is the probability that the first student who enters a classroom will be assigned a seat in the front row? Ladies and gents, keep in mind that when it comes to probability, it is the desired outcome over the total number of outcomes. So here, if you guys add up the total number of seats, there's a total of 30 seats, which is a total. However, the desired outcome in this situation is the front row. So of those 30 seats, how many are located in the front row? 8 of them. And is that answer choice there? No, it's not. So we can simplify, divide both sides by 4, ladies and gentlemen, and we establish that the first student has a 4 in 15th chance of being seated in the front row. Keep in mind, it could be represented by a fraction, by a decimal, or a percent, okay? Keep that in mind, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, number 4. quadrilateral KLM is similar to quadrilateral WXYZ. Which statement about these quadrilaterals must be true? Must. All right, there's some key things that you guys need to know about two shapes that are considered similar. When it comes to similar shapes, they are the same shape, just not necessarily the same size. And the corresponding sides are proportional, which means, let's say if this is, if one side is 2 on the other side will be 4, then if on the first figure, another side is 3, then the corresponding side on the other figure would be 6. Scale factor of 2, so to say. But here, ladies and gents, there are some things that I'm going to show you guys that'll help you guys out. All right. So first of all, because they could ask you different things. Here, the first two letters that come here are KL, which means segment KL is similar to or corresponds with WX, which is right there. Next one's is LM, which corresponds with XY. Those are corresponding sides. And then the next one is MN, which corresponds with the next two there, which is YZ. And I'm just showing you guys that the corresponding sides is purple with purple, red with red, and yellow with yellow, and unhighlighted with unhighlighted. But here, the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is letter G. Angle NKL, which is this angle right here, is congruent to angle ZWX. ZWX, which is that angle right there. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to similar figures, the corresponding angles, they're always the same, which is the same thing as congruent. They are always the same. The shape just got larger or smaller. However, the angles stay the same. They have not changed. So please keep that in mind. That's a property of similar figures that you all need to keep in mind. All right, ladies and gentlemen, number 5. They are telling us that cheddar cheese costs $4.25 per pound. Which equation best represents Y, which is the total cost of X pounds of cheddar cheese? Here, ladies and gentlemen, think about it. It's like a rate. Your rate here is $4.25. So Y, which is the total cost, can represent that as a cost, is equal to the rate, which is $4.25 times X, which is a number of pounds, or the amount of pounds. And you know what? Let me change this here to the total cost. The total cost. Okay, so total cost, which is denoted by Y, is equal to the rate, which is $4.25, times the number of pounds. The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is letter D. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Number 6. They're telling us that Ursula surveyed 50 classmates about their favorite flavor or their favorite ice cream flavors. Each classmate chose one flavor. The results are shown in the graph, which is right there. How many more of Ursula's classmates chose chocolate than chose vanilla? Here, ladies and gentlemen, this is a multi-step problem, so to say, because you have to find the percentages and the actual students, because they give you the percentages, but you have to find out the actual number of students that certain percentage represents. And then once you figure that out, you have to subtract, because when they ask you how many more than, they're asking you guys to find a difference. So in this case, we know that that's 100%. If you guys add up these percents and subtract from 100, you're going to find out that 26% chose vanilla. And I'm going to solve this 2 ways, okay? But let me pause this. Alrighty, so here, ladies and gents, I did solve it 2 ways. I solved it using the equation and using a proportion. Both ways would work, ladies and gentlemen. Both ways would work. However, I know that the proportion is easier to set up, but it might be a little more tedious. But I mean, I'd rather struggle on. I'd rather y'all have somewhere where it's easier to set up than. But anyways, whatever works best for you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So here, using the percent equation, I determined that there was 13 students that preferred vanilla, and using a proportion, I solved and I determined that 21 students prefer chocolate. So 21 minus 13, ladies and gentlemen, there's a difference of 8, which means 8 more students preferred chocolate than chose vanilla. Alrighty, so for the next one, ladies and gentlemen, they're telling us what is the solution set for negative 4x minus 10 is less than or equal to 2. All right, so when solving these, ladies and gents, my suggestion is for y'all to circle the whatever has a variable, your coefficient and your variable. That way you guys put in a bubble, and that's going to be the last thing y'all work with. Now we need to do inverse operations, which means how do you undo something? What's the opposite of subtracting 10? Adding 10. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So you add 10 to both sides. Those two cancel out, ladies and gentlemen. We're left with negative 4x. I'm going to bring down my inequality. I haven't done anything with that just yet. Is less than or equal to 12. Here's where it gets a bit, I guess, challenging. Now, to do the inverse operations, this operation right there, ladies and gentlemen, that means negative 4 times x. Well, the opposite of multiplying x by negative 4 is to divide it by negative 4. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. So now those equal 1 or 1x. However, since here, ladies and gentlemen, my coefficient was negative, we have to switch, flip, or reverse, however you all choose to see that, our inequality. So x is no longer less than or equal to. X is now greater than or equal to negative 3. And don't forget your integer operations, ladies and gents. When it comes to multiplying and dividing, don't forget your little triangle man or Dorito or sleepy man, however y'all choose to see it. You know, but that's okay. So here, ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer here is letter B. But before I move on, this could have also been represented by a number line, ladies and gentlemen. Here's 0, here's 5, here's negative 5. The way you read this here is that x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Negative 3 would have been right there. Since x is not only greater than, x is also equal to it, it would be represented by a solid circle. A solid circle. And what are numbers that are greater than or equal to negative 3? Well, negative 3, of course. Negative 2, negative 1, 5, 10. Those are all located to the right of the number line. So that's how y'all would represent that, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Next, they're telling us that Jack tossed a coin 3 times. Which tree diagram shows all the possible outcomes of the coin landing heads up or tails up? Ladies and gentlemen, this is also referred to as your sample space, which is a list of all the possible outcomes. So think about it this way. You have a coin. If you flip it once, it could land on heads. Okay, that's one time. If you flip it again, it could land on heads or tails. And, well, first of all, let's see. Let's assume it lands on heads again. Then if you flip it a third time, because you're going to be flipping it 3 times, it could also land on heads or on tails. And let's say if it would have gone the other way, if it would have landed on heads first, the second time it could have landed on tails, then it could have landed on heads, or it could have landed on tails. The correct answer here, ladies and gentlemen, is letter H. Some of y'all might have been inclined to choose letter F. However, here, ladies and gents, you see how that's heads and heads? That wouldn't have been a sample space. This right here needs to be tails, okay? Alrighty, so the next one, ladies and gentlemen, they are telling us that the ratio of boys to girls in Miss Cunningham's class is 2 to 3. There are 18 girls in the class. What is the total number of students in Miss Cunningham's class? Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys are reading the questions carefully, because sometimes you all rush through things, and this is a question where you guys will come up with solutions and they'll be there. But let's go and start this off. So first of all, here they're telling us that boys to girls. So since boys came first, we know that there's 2 boys for every 3 girls. So I'm going to set this up as a proportion here. It's going to be boys over girls. And this is just one way of doing it, because you guys could have also done it boys to total students or girls to total students. It just depends on how you all set it up, okay? But here it's going to be boys to girls. We know that there's 2 boys for every 3 girls. So if there's 18 girls, and there's an X amount of boys, y'all cross multiply. 3x is equal to 36. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 12. But that is not my answer, ladies and gentlemen. 12 is not my answer. That just means that there's 12 boys. So 18 girls plus the 12 boys, there's a total of 30 kiddos. So the answer here is letter B. Make sure y'all read the questions carefully, okay? Because sometimes they formulate these questions where the wrong answers are part of your solution, but not, you guys haven't finished yet, okay? And I'm sorry if I'm rushing. It's just that YouTube only gives me a maximum of 15 minutes. And it's frustrating. Ay, ay, ay.